All right, part two um, of nutrition, right? So what I said in the last one, we were talking about calories, BMR, individual calorie intakes, and what you need for your body to function, and so forth and so on. So just to recap, BMR is your basal metabolic rate. It's what you would burn if you did absolutely nothing all day long, just your body. That's what it burns, and the amount of calories it requires to do just that, just to live, right? If you're doing obviously any other activity, the moment you get off your bed and you start doing other stuff, you're obviously going to go in some sort of deficit. That's why you require food, right? If you don't eat all day, you're going to lose weight. You're going to become a skeleton and die, right? So those 1900 calories are constantly being spent just from waking up. So then you figure out your level of activity. So let's say, for instance, if you're eating 1900, you need 1900 calories to survive. You're eating 1900 calories, you're at zero, right? That's the amount of calories that you ate all day, and you've exercised and done all this stuff, you know what I mean? So you are in some sort of deficit. We'll go more into detail on that too. I don't want to kind of confuse anything, but so then we talk about micronutrients. That's where we left off. So micronutrients are, or macros, are what makes up a calorie. It could be, oh man, I said I was gonna bring, I said I was gonna do something with the labels, but maybe we'll do it in the next one then. Okay, so what makes up a calorie, right? So calories are made up of fat, proteins, carbs. Um, Combination of those three. Now, uh, interesting fact, right? If you look at nature, most natural things don't have all three, right? Anything in nature either has two, combination of two, primarily, but not all three. Like something that's high carb and high protein is low fat, or something that's high fat, high protein is low carb. That's just kind of, I find it kind of weird. If you can find some natural stuff, let me know. Anyhow, so here's the thing, right? So the macronutrients. So we're talking about fats, carbs, proteins, right? So proteins is what you would need for your body, for your muscle, right? So your body takes in the proteins, it synthesizes in your muscles and allows it to grow. Now, when we're talking about fuel, when I was talking about earlier before about fueling your body and when you get up in the morning and what you need to get your body going, the two fuel sources are fats and carbs, right? Now, your first fuel source, or the fuel source that your body will go for immediately, are carbs, are fast burning. Your metabolism will pick them up. So they're sugars, right? Carbs are sugars, are processed by their liver, and they convert into glucose, and your glucose, boom, it's fast going, right? So it's like that quick burning thing. So let's say athletes, right, how they drink Gatorade and kind of gives them that little bit of a boost, right? So sugars are a quick boost of energy for your body, right? And that's the one that your body will go for first. So if you have right now, you have fat and you have carbs, they both are coming into the body at the same time, your body will immediately go for the carbs, burn that, process that in your liver, get it to glucose, get it to your bloodstream, get it going, boom, 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 you're moving. And then if it ever runs out of carbs, then it says, okay, we're gonna go into fats, right? And we start using that because that's another fuel source. It's a slower burning fuel source. And your body converts it to ketones as opposed to glucose. And then, it starts doing all this crazy stuff in your body and getting around. So I don't wanna get too complicated into it. I just wanna kind of give you an idea. So which brings me back to dietary needs, right? So if you have one source is always there for your muscle and building blocks of your muscles and aminos, right? And then you have two that are fuel sources. What's that say, right? This is where weight gain and nutrition is important, and dietary requirements are important, right? So let's say, for instance, for a person like me and Priscilla, how much time do I have left? Okay. Me and Priscilla, we're bodybuilders, right? So we're trying to maximize our protein intake, right? Minimize the amount of fat that our body stores, right? So we have to kind of pick our fuel. If you're looking to lose weight and still do it healthy, you still have to pick a fuel source, but one has to dominate the other, right? So let's say, for instance, you can have 50% of your diet, or 40% of your diet be fat, 40% of your diet be be carbs and 20% of your diet be protein, because then guess what? You're just gonna get fat, and you're gonna have all kinds of health issues, right? So let me give you this other example. So for us, right, your body has, like I said, those are your fuel sources. So let's use the same analogy I used before, which is the car analogy, right? So we are a very complicated, very high-end car, and we have two fuel tanks. The primary tank, like I said, is the carb. That's your main tank. That's your number one. And then you have your backup tank, which is your fat, right? So here we are. Here I'm going to show you how you can lose that body fat real quick, right? Or at least the way the way I eat. So you have to pick your fuel. So you wake up in the morning, you're hungry as hell, right? Today's the first day of your diet. You're starting at zero. You didn't eat shit yesterday. You're oh my God, I want to do whatever. So you pick your fuel. First thing you do is obviously your protein has to always maintain a certain level of protein within your body. And that I could tell you in another nutrition thing, I guess if you're looking to do bodybuilding, you need a pound of protein for each pound of muscle or whatever. So I'll give you that. I don't want to go into that too much. Let's talk about the fuel, right? So you're starting from zero. You got to pick your fuel. For me, I'm going to talk about what works for me. Obviously, so my diet consists of very low carbs, high fats, right? So meaning, since my primary fuel tank is carbs, just like everybody else's, I'm not changing that, right? I gotta keep my carb level low enough that my body starts using this second tank. Now, in the ketogenic diet, the reason that this has to stay under 50 grams, and they say blah, 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 is because of that, right? Because your body, let's say for instance, right now, I start, and 50 grams is just a guideline. Some people it could be 100, you know what I mean? So anyhow, your body uses carbs first, right? So I'm a keto person, and I'm eating fat all day, right? And I'm burning this as I go because obviously my BMR and everything else, and I'm working and I'm talking, just like I'm talking to you guys now. I'm burning some of that energy, but I'm maintaining it. And then all of a sudden I decide to eat a pizza, or not even, let's talk about pasta, because pizza's got a little bit of everything. Pasta, right? It's just pure carbohydrates, right? So then this goes up, and I only eat about 150 grams, right? So it's about here. Yet 150 grams will be all I need to get through my day, right? So then what happens to this tank? It stops using this because it's my backup tank, and it starts using this one. I don't get to the end of it by the end of the day, right? So then I eat carbs again, like about 100. Like at the end of the day, I'm eating my fats. I'm down here, I'm eating my fats. And then, I eat some more, ooh, it goes up. And then, okay, I start burning. And then it's up here. So then what happens? This one's constantly being stored. It's never getting to the point that I'm using this, because I'm constantly building this up every day as I'm eating fat, and building some carbs just enough to get me through the day. So then I'm gaining weight on a ketogenic diet because I'm picking two fuel sources, and obviously my body's kicking into this one, but I'm giving it more of this one. So that's what happens. So let's use the reverse. If we're not using ketogenic as a thing, sorry, I keep zooming in just so I can see the number. Ketogenic. So if you're not on a ketogenic diet, then your primary fuel source will be your carbs, right? So then we look at it this way. So throughout the day, boom, you're filling up your carbs. That means that your secondary tank should remain empty. You know why? Because if you have it full up to here, what do you think that tank is? It's here, right? So you wanna get to this point. You wanna start using some of this throughout the day. So you use your carbs, and then you start losing weight, right? You start losing the fat that's stored here, right? The more fat you're eating with the carbs, you're gonna store more fat here. So it's gonna start building that secondary fuel tank. And so right here, look, it's all coming on. I got a huge tank now. If you're eating carbs as your primary source, that means that you gotta keep your fats intake low. Now, 20% of your diet should be your fat intake low, which for me would be about 30 grams. It's almost like the reverse of keto, right? 30 grams of carbs is what I normally do. If I was doing the reverse, I'd be eating 30 grams of fat and 200 grams of carbs or whatever it is. So 40% of the diet would consist of carbs, 40% will consist of proteins, and 20% will consist of fats. If in my ketogenic diet, now you're gonna say, oh, well, you got 40% of protein over there. And in keto, it's typically 5% of carbs, 70% fats, and 20% proteins. The reason is because over a certain amount of carbs throughout the day, your body can only consume or process so much, protein. Your body can only process so much protein a day. So when it can't process it, it still has to become some sort of fuel. It has to store somewhere, right? So it converts it into one of these two remaining fuels, which would be carbs. It doesn't convert it into fats, it converts it into carbs. So that's why you keep your proteins low when you're doing a ketogenic diet. And your body doesn't it doesn't convert the excess protein into carbs, which then takes you out of ketosis. Totally different thing. Don't want to lose anyone here. So anyhow, I think that's it in the micronutrients for now. I can go into more detail about what each diet would be in terms of bodybuilding. I think my chicken's done. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to post this up. If you guys like it, if it sounds really confusing, I would love some feedback on this, because obviously there are days that I can explain this better than others. I'm not sure if today's one of those days. Typically I could write this on a board and it makes it so much easier, because then we go into what kinds of foods have what. I'll do a very short clip on oh no, actually, you know what? I'll do a whole clip on micronutrients again, because I just talked about what micronutrients are. Now, I can tell you what each of those entails. So in the next clip, I have a couple minutes left. So in the next clip, we'll talk about how those break down into calories. So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis or preview of what it is. So each gram of carbs equals 4 calories. Each gram of fat is 9 calories, and each gram of protein is 4 calories, right? So in the end, when we say, okay, well, your micronutrients have to build a certain way in order for you to get to your goals, right? So like I said earlier as well, if you're bodybuilding, the typical math is that you eat a gram of protein for each pound of weight, right? So for instance, for me, I should eat 170 to 180 grams of protein. However, if you say 180 grams of protein and you multiply that by 4, what is that in calories, right? I still have a calorie goal, right? If I still want to gain a pound or lose a pound, I said you should only eat X amount of calories. So if I'm eating 180 times 4 in protein alone, how many calories is that, and how close am I to my goal? How much should I be eating in carbs and how much I should be eating in fats in order to hit my number and it be my fuel tanks are utilized as efficiently as possible. Make sense? That's going to be our next version. We're going to bring that up, and we're going to hopefully, maybe I'll get a whiteboard or something, because then it makes it a lot easier for me to explain this, and maybe I'll do one whole video with this all quick. But listen to this. If something didn't make any sense just because I was rambling, text me and I'll try to explain it. Or if somewhere some stuff started to make sense and then it didn't because I started rambling, text me and I'll go right into the detail. All right? Thanks.